Greetings everyone, this is Alexander Leonhem. This should be a fairly quick video. It is about the petition to remake the 8th season of Game of Thrones, more so about the actors' responses to it. As you can see on the screen right now, the petition is at 1,569,821 signatures. Now, I think it's safe to say that no one is really expecting this to work. I view it more as just, this is one way for people en masse to let the people who make the products and shows that they like know that they're not happy with it. I mean, in our society, that's an important thing. So telling people their opinions are wrong and that they should just, be quiet does not help anything at all. I've also learned apparently news outlets need to buy a dictionary because I'm real tired of seeing the word slams in these headlines. Sophie Turner slams, Kit Harington slams. Like, find a better word and actually find a word that represents what they're doing, because they certainly aren't slamming. The first one here. We have Sophie Turner and Kit Harington slammed that Game of Thrones remake petition. Oh, now because I have like 2 or 3 articles I'm going to look at, I've just highlighted a few points that I'm going to read. Let's see. Sophie Turner says, all of these petitions and things like that, I think it's disrespectful to the crew and writers and filmmakers who have worked tirelessly over 10 years and for 11 months shooting the last season. Like 50-something night shoots. So many people worked so hard, and for people to just rubbish it because it's not what they want to see is just disrespectful. Well, no, that's actually the consumer's right to say if you're not making something good, then they have a right to tell you that they don't like it and they think it should be changed. She's totally justified in saying that, says Cosmopolitan. I mean, I guess you are. It's a free country. You can say whatever you want. People always have an idea in their heads of how they want a show to finish. So when it doesn't go to their liking, they start to speak up about it and rebel. The thing about Game of Thrones that's always been amazing is the fact that there's always been crazy twists and turns right from season 1 with Ned's beheading. So Daenerys becoming something of the Mad Queen, it shouldn't be such a negative thing for fans. It's a shock for sure, but I think it's just because it hasn't gone their way. No, the problem isn't that Daenerys became the Mad Queen. I actually wrote on Twitter that I think the final episode of Game of Thrones, if you ignore how they got to that point, it's a good episode. It's the way they chose to get there, how they wrote the story, that sucks. And the next is Kit Harington. Whatever critic spends half an hour writing about the season and makes their judgment on it, in my head they can go F themselves. Because I know how much work was put into this. Well, it doesn't really matter how much work was put into it. You can spend a whole year polishing a turd. It's still a turd. And I find Sophie Turner's comments even more hilarious. If you consider here from the USA Today, right here, when she spoke with the Times, which is the quotes I was reading, she hadn't yet watched the finale, as she truly can't be alone to watch it. Like, before you criticize people's thoughts on something, like, I know you were there and everything, but at least watch the finished product before you tell people they're wrong. And once again, we have Jacob Anderson slamming fans over the petition. I think it's rude. I think obviously the show feels to people like it belongs to them. And that's really good. I think it's really important when people take things into their heart. It means something to them. However, it doesn't belong to them. Well, no, not necessarily belong to them, but as the consumers and the people who support it, they kind of have a right to tell you when what you're making is crap. I just mean that in the sense that I was there, and the crew in particular, or our show, are like the hardest working group of people I've ever met, even had the pleasure to work with. And I think to kind of trivialize their work in that way, I find it kind of sad. Less so for us because we just get to fight people and look cool. Kind of going back to what Sophie said, it's disrespectful to the crew and writers and filmmakers who have had worked tirelessly over 10 years and for 11 months shooting the last season. Now, I'm going to assume that she means 10 years for the show, 11 months spent shooting the last season. But really, here it says, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss have proven themselves to be woefully incompetent writers when they have no source material. The series deserves a final season that makes sense. Subvert my expectations and make it happen, HBO. No one is talking about the actors or anyone else, the directors, that helped make this season. And for one, they're not talking about the entire show as a whole, so I don't know where she gets that. They're talking about the last season and that the writers were god-awful. And they were. So, it's blowing out of proportion what people are saying. They're not saying the entire show was bad. They're not saying everyone who made it was bad. Just the writers. And no, it's not disrespectful. It's called criticism. Criticism is important if you want to improve. And given that these two are about to go make a Star Wars trilogy, I think they should learn to improve. Thank you for watching, everybody. Like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, maybe leave a comment. Hope you all have a nice day. This is